Hey, you two. Welcome back to Truth About the Past. Today we have Miss Betty LaVett, a six-time Grammy nominated singer. Hi, Miss LaVett.
Hi, baby. How are you? Please say your name again.
My name is Jamarian.
Shamarian?
Yes, ma'am.
What an odd and beautiful name.
Thank you so much. So, I want to go back to 16-year-old Betty, first recording with Atlantic Records. How did you get started?
Well, quite easily, believe it or not, I started out to be a groupie, and I went to started going to dances, which I was too young to be at. But I met the super groupie of the whole period. Her name was Ginger, and she knew all of the entertainers and all of the nightlife people. And we became fast friends. She introduced me to them, and I sung all of the time anyway. I mean, when something came on the radio or whatever. And I was with her and a more popular, a real entertainer. Mm-hmm. And I was singing, and he said, "You can sing a little bit." And I was very stunned to know that anybody professional thought that I could. I thought that I could. My family thought that I could. But I was only 16. I had never been to a nightclub. I had never met an entertainer. And one week I was Betty Jo Haskins at the Greystone Ballroom at the dance. And the next week I was Betty LaVett on Atlantic.
Yes, ma'am. I feel the same way. I'm 13 years old, and I've talked to a lot of singers from the 60s, 70s, and when they say I can sing, I kind of get, kind of starstruck, because people I listen to and my grandparents listen to and my mom listened to, they think I can sing. And that's why me and Lakia started this YouTube channel to celebrate people's careers, people who have not been given their props, people who have been given their props.
And how old are you?
Oh, I'm 13.
And how old is your partner?
I'm 40.
I didn't hear you.
I said I'm 40.
Oh, okay. And
yes,
you're
ma'am.
13?
Yes, ma'am.
Mike, I couldn't even walk and chew gum at the same time when I was 13, although I thought I could. You are such a bright young lady. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Mercy. Well, who have you interviewed before? Anyone?
We've interviewed Shelley Clark of the Honeycomb. We've interviewed Ken Knox, chairman of the board. There's some interviews we have lost in files. We did an interview with Sheila Jones of the Jones Girls. We did an interview
How do you know all of these old people?
Well, I don't call them old. I just call them blessed to have lived the life they have.
No, I want to be called old because it cost me to get this old. So I don't want to be mistaken for blessed. Yes, I am old and proud of it, and very happy that I was able to get old. But it's such a thing. You rarely find a young person today. You can get their attention, but to find a young person who is taking their time delving into old people is quite something, and something that I'm an advocate of, because when I started singing at 16, the biggest job my manager had was trying to let me know that I just wasn't all of that. And I really thought that I was. That's why it took me 25 years to learn to sing. I could sing, but to learn to be good, or as proficient as I am now, took a while. And that was because it took at least 10 years to get me over myself. But I always tell young people, please don't jump into this business based on the fact that your family thinks you can sing. So let somebody who's going to spend some money say so.
Yes, ma'am. And my family says I can sing. I don't like singing a lot, but when
you don't?
No, When I'm by myself, before I was doing the interview, I was just singing by myself. I don't like singing in front of people.
Mhm.
Um,
Do you like the interview?
oh, I love to interview. I love to hear other people's stories.
Well,
Um,
what are you? Which way are you thinking of going? Are you thinking of trying to pursue singing, or are you thinking of trying to go with the interviewing?
Maybe more singing, more singing.
Now, boo, you just said you don't like it that much and you love interviewing.
Yeah,
Loving something makes it so much easier to do and to get through.
I love to sing. I just kind of get kind of scared. I sing at school. Um, I sung at like this extravaganza thing. I sung twice. I sung a song by Michael Jackson, and I sung "Dancing in the Street" by Martha Reeves and the Vandellas.
Mhm.
And
I talked with Martha the other night.
you did?
Yeah, well, we were 13 together.
Yes, I love Martha. Love Makes Me Do Foolish Things. That is a wonderful song. That's my favorite song. So you being 16 years old and you being presented a song called My Man, He's a Lovin' Man. What did you think? Were you like, I don't want to sing about that. Can I sing something else? Or were you like, I like that song?
No, I think we can take what you said verbatim. I said, I don't want to sing about that. I did not. I mean, I was 16 and the song sounded so old to me. And I had met in my groupie travels another entertainer who was with a very popular group at the time called the Royal Jokers. And his name was Willie Jones. And he wrote a song for me. The song was more to, and the telling me that I could sing was more to entice me to be with him than it was anything else. But we've remained friends for this whole 60 years. And he wrote me a song called Shut Your Mouth and Don't Talk Back.
Yep.
And that was on the other side of My Man. But he wrote that one for me, and it was about a young lady who was just like myself, who stayed out too late and whose mother told her to come home. And it was a scene between my mother and I, and she was saying, shut your mouth and don't talk back. And I'm saying, but Mama, please let me explain to you what happened. And it was very youthful. So this is what he was thinking, and this is what I was thinking too. And the people who were going to record me liked it. And that was what they had put out as the A side, but they only played it on the radio. Radio and hearing music was much different now. DJs actually introduced records to you, and they introduced mine and they played it a half day, and then they turned it over, and that one became a R&B favorite. But I had to become overnight growner than I even was. I mean, I was already growner than I was, but going on the road with the people who frequented places where you hear My Man, where they were all grown. But that was what I wanted to be. I never wanted to be a kid. I still have no desire to be young. I really like being an adult. I like making my own decisions. I always have, even when I was making wrong decisions. But uh, I wanted to be an adult. So it was just I wanted to do everything that singing My Man and being Betty LaVett implied.
Yes, ma'am. So I've been doing some research, and it says here when you recorded Let Me Down Easy, you did a tour with James Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that come about, touring with the king, James Brown?
Well, he had a show that toured with him all the time anyway, and he was just making it a bigger show for a short period of time. And we were with the same booking agency. So he just hired me from my booking agency, like you would do if you hired me.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
wasn't being dealt with as a kid. I was being dealt with as a woman who had 2 records on national charts and recording of. Certainly they knew I was younger than he, and he knew I was younger than he. But it wasn't a thing where if somebody comes and pats you on the head and says, "Little girl, you're very good. Come go on the road with me." He booked me.
Mhm. And so when the 60s left and the 70s arrived, you were kind of going from label to label. So, and when you recorded your song on West End Records, Doing the Best That I Can in 82, and that was a hit. What did you think when it hit?
Well, before that, there was one called "He Made a Woman Out of Me,"
Mm-hmm.
which was another charted top 10 of the rhythm and blues Billboard charts. And Doing the Best That I Can, I thought absolutely nothing about. I felt about it kind of like I did My Man 10 years before, because I wasn't a great disco fan. And I was in theater at the time. I was doing a show called Bubbling Brown Sugar. And I was the young man who asked me to record Doing the Best I Can. I have a online radio show that I'm doing, and actually I'm going to interview him next week. And it'll be the first time that he and I have talked in years. But he came to
Wow.
the theater and asked me would I do the tune. And I hadn't had a record at that time in about 8 years. And so I did it strictly because I needed a record. And it wasn't a disco record. It was just a song that I liked. And I went back on the road with the Broadway show and came back, and it was coming out of the cracks in the street in New York. It wasn't a very big selling record, but it was amongst the gay community. And they kept it alive all this time. And now it is in the top 100 disco songs of all time.
That is
And I have never sung it live on stage in my life, because that isn't the kind of audience that I cater to. And I've never had occasion to sing it.
Well, when you get the chance, maybe you should whenever you perform in New York. But I can see how it became a hit amongst the gay community and in New York when it arose, because at that time
yeah, well,
that
when
was
they turned it into a disco thing and added 5 minutes to the tune. The tune was only 2 minutes and 15 seconds long. They added 5 minutes to it. And that was what was being done then. So I was just stunned when I came back to New York and the record company wanted me to go and do a performance where I would lip sync. I didn't even know where to come in. They had moved my voice on the track, so put it in such a strange place. And I had never heard it like that. It was very weird. But I was of course, very pleased, flattered, and surprised to see every dance floor, albeit it was all men, but they all knew the words to Doing the Best I Can. They were all dancing.
Yes, and I can understand around that time. That's when the Studio 54 was gaining huge and getting bigger and bigger. So I want to talk about your work in the recent years. Your song, I've Got My Own, your album, your CD, I've Got My Own Hell to Lead. How did that come about?
We called this my 5th career, and it's very much about what my radio program is about. I've interviewed so far the first producer and in this 5th career, and the person that started it. Most of this started with friends and fans. I got a call from a guy who said, "My name is Randall Grass, and I've been a fan of yours for 11 years, and I love everything you've made." He was going on and whatever. And we laughed and talked for a while. And I said, well, I really appreciate you calling. And I said, by the way, what do you do? And he said, I'm the president of Atlantic Records. And I wish you could have seen my face because it was twisted. This man knows I'm starving and he called me to chat. But he said his record company, and still today his record company is one of the small record companies that is always in the black because they do not take chances. And none of my records had sold enough to impress a record company. Maybe they sounded good, but when you're looking at figures, my records had not lived up to that. And record sales were getting bigger and bigger. So when you look all the way back to the amount of records I sold of Let Me Down Easy, that just wasn't cutting it. So he said, I'm either going to lend you some money or find you a manager or get you a record deal or something. I'm gonna do something to help you. And a few weeks later, he called and he said, I'm gonna have this guy call you. His name is Dennis Walker. And Dennis Walker had just won a Grammy for the Robert Cray first album. And he called and he sent me these songs and I loved them all. And I came out to California and did the first album in this fifth career, which was called The Same as the Book, A Woman Like Me. And I won an R&B award for that one. And then Hell to Raise was next.
Yes, ma'am. So you've shared the stage with a lot of famous and huge artists like John Bon Jovi, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr. So when you got on stage with these people, were you kind of starstruck?
You know what? I've forgotten how to pronounce your name. Say it again.
Jamarian.
Jamarian. That is such an odd name. It's hard for me to remember. Jamarian, when I got on stage with all of those people you just named, I was over 50. And as far as I was concerned, I was doing the same thing they were doing. And as far as I was concerned about John Bon Jovi, he was a cute child who had a lot of success. I haven't been starstruck since the first tour that I went on.
So what was the lineup on the first tour that you've been on?
Clyde McPhatter, Benny King, Clarence From and Henry, Little Richard's band. Little Richard just at that point had stopped singing rhythm and blues and had started a church. And his band, the Upsetters, were the band on the tour, and a young woman whose name was Barbara Lynn. And those were some of the biggest stars that I had ever known. And I was just, I was the same person that was going to the dances to see the stars. This was months after that first dance I was telling you about. I was completely starstruck. I was just at the dance dancing to these people's records just weeks before.
Which can tell people who is listening that your life can change just like that. And
absolutely, for the good or for the bad.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I might not be saying anything, but you know, your life story is wonderful. It's amazing.
Oh, well, you should get the book. You can't let Jamarian read all of it, but you can get it. You can read all of it, and then you can block out the pieces and let her read the rest.
Well, I have a question. How hard was it? You know, you being so young and traveling and being away from home and your family for long periods of time.
I wanted to be away from my home and family for long periods of time.
Hey, we all been there.
I mean, I had everything that I wanted to be an adult, and I really did. I wanted to travel. I wanted to smoke and drink. I wanted to be an adult, and this business just zoomed me in a matter of days right into it. It was kind of like the scene from Star Trek, where beam me up, Scotty. I was just beamed into it, but it was exactly where I wanted to be. And it was hard because I did not know what I was doing, and it was a long time before I would listen. So that made it hard. And then there are no children in show business. I don't care what they tell you or what you see on television. There are no children in show business. Justin Bieber at this point could tell you some of the same stories I could tell you.
Yes, ma'am. So when you were offered the choice to perform on the show, I forgot the name. My brain just went completely just off. But I don't think it's Shindig. I might be wrong. But
early on?
Yeah, early in the 60s.
It was Shindig.
Shindig
you see the thing is that up until this fifth career, everything that I did was a really big thing, but it was so few of them. I can remember every one of them. So just tell me what year and I can tell you what that thing was.
Yes, ma'am. This episode of Shindig aired June 9th, 1965. And there's a picture of you clapping your hands, and behind you is Miss Darling Love and the Blossoms.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Jimmy Clayton.
And I didn't see her again until 5 years ago.
Really?
Because all of these people, and I was living in Detroit. Smokey Robinson lived across the alley from me. All of these people became huge stars. And my manager then, who is the reason you have this woman here to talk to today, this man literally honed and made me and forced me to listen. He said, you may never be a star, but I'm going to make you be a good singer, and you will be able to sing for the rest of your life for money. And I have.
Yes, you have.
But all of my friends are stars. And he said, if they don't know who you is, you ain't. So he didn't want me standing at any dressing room door saying, hey, you remember me? They didn't see me and I haven't seen them. I haven't seen Diane. All these people I know before and most of them call me Betty Joe. And that's why I call Diana Diane. I haven't seen these people. I haven't seen Diane since
Diana Ross of the Supremes.
Since Stop in the Name of Love. I did the Kennedy Center honors at which Aretha was at, and I hadn't seen her since the night she came home off the road to do Respect. Respect had just come out. But these people went another way, and I was in a much smaller circle. But I knew them, and when I saw them, when something big, that one big thing that would happen to me would throw me in with them. And they were always very surprised to see me, because up until then, they probably thought I was dead.
That, you living in Detroit in the 60s, I'm pretty sure that, because I'm a huge Supreme fan. I love the Supremes. Mm-hmm. But living in Detroit, I'm pretty sure you met a bunch of celebrities and stars at that. And I'm surprised Barry didn't. Did Barry ever try to get you to sign with Motown?
No, but everybody else tried to get him to sign me to Motown. Shammy baby, some of these stories are not quite 13-year-oldish to me. And I can give you the gliss off the top, but my story is not one of the Supremes and from the ashes to stardom kind of thing. So mine, why don't you do this? Have your mother read my book and then call me back and we'll talk some more.
So do you
because really I can't just that answer there. There's so many stories that go with that answer there. I was in Detroit and I wasn't on Motown. And even Aretha could tell you that to live in Detroit and be a singer and not be on Motown can be a very hard life.
Mm-hmm. So,
But I was fortunate enough, as Jim told me, I was able to sing. So I was always able to do something and be doing something. And they have Motown's logo is the sound of the voice of young America. My voice has never been one of young America.
yes, ma'am. So when you were nominated for your first Grammy, what was your thoughts?
Oh, absolute glee. But considering when it was more relief than anything else. I thought I was going to die broke and obscure, but I'm just going to die broke. But everybody does know who I am now.
Which is wonderful. You've been nominated for 6 Grammys, and a lot of singers today haven't even been nominated for one, and they've been in the business for 20 years. So for you to have been in the business for how long you have been, and to be nominated for 6 Grammys, which I feel like you should have been earlier in your life, but things happen when they do.
Yeah, well, they do, and they did, and I feel the way I feel about them. I'm able to show up, and I'm able to laugh and smile, and I still look a little bit younger than I am, and I still fit into a size 6 perfectly, and I'm cool. And the 6 Grammys, certainly, not only that, just this year, in fact, has been this past year, one of the biggest years of my entire career, and it all happened right here in my living room.
And when you sung your album, Blackbirds, were you, how did that come along? Did you want to sing another song, or did you
No,
definitely want
everything
to do
I've
that?
sung since Amnesia, I've chosen
Yes, ma'am.
for one
So,
reason or another. But Blackbirds was, I had the opportunity to do a tribute to the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. And there'd been a while when I lived in Hollywood, not far from the Hollywood Bowl. And I was standing on that stage that night at the Hollywood Bowl, and the breeze was blowing. It was a summer evening. There were some of the biggest stars in the world on the show. There were 32 strings playing behind me. And I just thought to myself, I've waited all my life for this moment. And so I thought then, when I record again, I'm going to record this tune. I wasn't familiar with the tune. My husband is the musicologist. I really am not even a music enthusiast. I listen to music when I'm getting ready to record something new, or if I need something else. But that isn't what entertains me. I like politics, and I watch that most of the day. And my husband listens to music all day, and he's in his office, which is close to the TV, and all day long I say, honey, did you hear what he just said? And then it's, honey, did you hear that song? And then it's, honey, did you hear what they said in Washington? And then it's, honey, did you hear that girl sing this? And that goes on all day long.
yes, ma'am. Hearing your life story is one that is very, very life-changing. And a lot of people cannot say that, because most people, they have to wait a certain time, but with you, you just blew up, and your life just changed in the blink of an eye. And a lot of people can't say that. And for you to have experienced that, it's a story that you can tell for generations and generations.
Well, may I ask the question?
Mm-hmm.
What if you would have, if someone in today's society and trying to get in the music business today and age, what would be some advice that you would give the young artists about getting into the entertainment business?
Oh, I don't even know how you get in it anymore. I could maybe give you some advice on being in it, but getting in it, it's just, the business is just not even anything that I recognize today. But once in it, you have to know your craft, and you have to know that even if you do, as you all call it, blow up, suppose you have to stay blown up for 60 years. So when you talk about all the money, say that Beyonce is taking right now, if they are not investing it right, it's got to last her for another 50 years.
Oh my goodness.
Whatever money she's got right now, she could break her leg, she could do anything. What you've got to hone your craft, be very serious about your work, and always show up on time. I know these sound like adolescent rules, but always show up on time, always look very, very good, and always come to kill.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
is not a club. It is not a best girlfriends club. The only time you'll be able to find any girlfriends in this business is if you are all stars. If you're not one, or if you're bigger than they are, you will have to deal with your own club. There are very few of them that would reach down and get you and bring you up to where they are.
Oh, I understand that, and you're so right about that. That's where I tell my daughter, she's a young teenager, and I said, when you go out into this world, you got to be on time. You got to be prompt.
That's
you got to be
it.
ready.
That I was so
you got to look your
disappointed
best.
yesterday, and then of course I felt bad when I learned about it. Was your father?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I felt so bad when I learned about it, and I'm sorry. But when she wasn't on time, oh, that is absolutely a no for me. I've gone on stage in flats or barefoot or whatever, because we pulled up to the back door where the dressing room was just in time for me to go on stage.
Yes, ma'am.
So as opposed to stop and put on makeup and whatever, they came to hear me sing. So I just get out of the car, walk straight up the steps, and walk on stage.
And you know what? That's how I was raised. I'm an 80s baby, and my mother was the same way. You have to be on time. Because if you can go on time to school or to work, you can be on time and be ready. Hey,
yes,
you gotta
absolutely. My daughter and my grandchildren, that is the thing. I'm so proud of the fact that they are so serious about their work, and that they insist upon being there on time. And I that's good. It will carry you well. And don't, everybody that I've met on this journey, I could call right now. I've been married 3 times. One husband is deceased. 2 husbands are deceased now. But up until they died, they all knew each other, and I could call on them to do anything. I don't lie to anybody. I don't try to take anything from anybody. And everybody who ever loved me loves me right now.
That's right. You have to make that impression to me the first time.
Oh, absolutely.
Your first appearance is your first impression. And if it's not good, that's going to scar you for the rest of your life.
Well, certainly if the impression is made bad with me, I can promise you I won't remember it for the rest of your life. But I am just so proud of this young lady here. I mean, she's just so young, and to be taking on such a serious thing. I really want you to, in the future, to weigh those 2 things, the journalism and the singing, because one of them is fluff and the other one could get you a Nobel Prize.
Yes, ma'am, it can.
So I want you to think about it very seriously. You say that you don't like to sing that much. I really don't think anybody should get into this unless they have got this sickness that we have, where you would rather sing than eat. And that is pretty much what it has been for me. I've given up a great deal to sing, including my child, which it took me 20 years to get back. And the only reason I've gotten her back is because she's getting older and she's beginning to understand me better. But I was not interested in staying home and being a mother. I wanted to sing, and I was just, I will remain grateful that I had a mother and a sister who could eat my daughter alive. And they wanted me to sing. Nobody in my family had ever made $100 in one day. Oh, they wanted me to sing. And when I look at any of the artists from that started when I started, maybe there were a few, if they were Black, whose families wanted them not to make $1,000 a night and go back to school, but there weren't very many.
That's right.
I don't care how they may make it sound now.
Wow.
I mean, if you've never had anything in your life, you can go to school and help somebody else in the family. You can go and do this and make the thousands of dollars a night and help somebody else in the family go to school. My daughter was the first in our family to graduate from college, and now we have 3 college graduates. My daughter and her 2 sons, her 2 children.
Oh, that's
because
wonderful.
I was able to do that. But I never wanted to go to school. The only regrets I have now about it is I don't know how to play piano, and I could have gone and learned to play piano. I would have been a little more proficient. But I have had the opportunity to travel all over the world and to talk to all kinds of politicians and writers and performers, and I've garnered my own education. When I see my friends that were in the 8th grade when I left school, in fact, we just had an online reunion the other day. We all sound pretty much alike, and they're all college graduates. And we pretty much know about the same thing. Most of them only know their field, but being exposed to so many things, I know a lot of things about a lot of fields.
Yes, ma'am. So how was the hairstyles back in those times?
The what?
The hairstyles, like the beehives.
Oh, well, just look through my pictures, and you can see somebody. My husband finds these pictures. He found one of me on a television show the other day. The afro was big enough for me and 2 other people.
We might have to start another meeting because this one is about to end, so we can start another one.
Okay, what do I do?
I'll just send a link to your husband's email.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, baby.
Okay. Start another one right now.